Girl, I ain't got my damn tripod to hold this thing up. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to y'all ass. Okay, I got my little iced coffee. To be honest, I've been drinking on this iced coffee for a couple of days now. I just keep freezing it and drinking it up, okay? But I'm waiting for my sister to get out of school. So I've been wanting to tell some story times. So I just thought while I'm sitting here waiting, I'll tell y'all a story time. So this story time, this happened to me when I was maybe 18. I want to say I was 18 because I was still in high school. So while I was in high school, I took a CNA course, and it was considered a college course. So I would go to high school in the morning, and then the afternoon, I had the whole afternoon dedicated to go to this CNA class, which was downtown. So I would have to catch a bus from school to downtown. And I had about a mile walk from, the bus stop to the hospital that I was doing the class at. So, every day I'm, walking to class and stuff, and, I would have to walk past this little area, this little seating area, picnic type of area where everybody's, sitting there eating their lunch or just chilling, talking on the phone, doing their homework or whatever. So I would always pass this area when I would walk to school and shit. And I noticed it was this guy over there that always used to be sitting there, and he was so handsome. I mean, he was such a handsome guy. He kept a good haircut, really, really, really cute. Okay, so as I'm walking, I notice him, and me and him will look at each other and shit, but I just keep it walking, keep it going, keep it pushing, you feel me? So one day, I'm walking past, and he was like standing at a corner of a building, in that area. So when I walk past him, I walk right past him. So when he see me, he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And from there, me and him just hit it off. We just started talking and shit. And I mean, I was just in awe with this man because he was just so handsome. And then when I got to know him, he was sweet. I would be walking and shit, and he'll meet up with me, and he'll bring me like a little snack or something to drink, or we'll walk past a little market, and he'll ask me, you want to go in here and get you a little snack or something for class. He would buy me snacks, and it got to a point where me and him will start walking, and we'll walk and hold hands and shit. So we were just kind of like, getting to know each other. And I just really, really liked this dude so much. I mean, he was just the sweetest, and he was handsome, So every day I go to, class, I would meet up with him, We would have a little lunch together or whatever, before I go to class and stuff. And he would give me a hug, before I go into class. And, I was just all giggly for this guy. You feel me? So my cousin used to come over to the house pretty frequently, and when she would come over and shit, I would tell her about him, just how much I liked him, and he was just so sweet. He would always, buy me things or just say sweet things to me, me and him be holding hands walking, and we would just give each other hugs and stuff like that. It was just real cutesy, okay? And I'm just explaining it to her. She's like, "Oh, that's good. That's good. You got a good guy that's, care for you, And by the way, this guy was 25, so he was older than me, wiser, more mature, you feel me? But anyway, I'm explaining to her, how he is and shit, and she's just smiling and, acting all happy and shit for me, you feel me? And so one day he calls me while I'm at home with my cousin. So me and him on the phone, we talking, laughing, whatever. And she just, sitting there watching TV, kind of ear hustling, you feel me? And then she's like, "Let me talk to him real quick. Let me talk to him." In which this was a thing that me and her did anyway. Anytime that we dated anybody or something like that, we'd get on the phone with him. Like, she dates somebody, I get on the phone with him real quick And I'm like, hey, make sure you treat my cousin good. Make sure you treat her good. Don't do nothing wrong to her. Don't fuck her over, or me and you gonna have some problems. So when she got on the phone with him, she did the same thing. What we normally do. She like, hey, I'm just getting on the phone to let you know, don't fuck over my cousin. She's good. You know, she really likes you and stuff like that. So I'm listening to her talking to him on the phone. And as she's talking to him, I'm in the room, you know, looking for my stuff to put on for today, because I was getting ready to jump in the shower. So I'm like, I'm getting my clothes together, you know. And so she's just talking to him. She's like laughing, all this shit, you know. So eventually I get my shit together. I'm like, okay, give me the phone, you know. And she's just still talking to him. And then she just kind of turned herself away from me to try to avoid giving me the phone. I'm like, girl, give me the phone. Okay, y'all done talk, y'all done said what y'all gonna say. Now give me the phone. So finally she hands the phone over to me and shit. So me and him, you know, finish up our conversation, you know, and you know, I let him go or whatever. So I noticed, you know, like the next time that I seen him, you know, I just kind of felt like he was distant from me, you know. He wasn't as conversational, you know. It would be days that I would be walking and he wasn't even, you know, at the place that he normally be at the time that he supposed to be there, you know. And so I'm like reaching out to him, and you know, he ain't answering the phone all of a sudden and stuff. And I'm just like, well, what's going on, you know? When he finally do return my call, you know, it's late to where, you know, I'm already then went back to the crib now, you know, because he didn't answer the phone. So I just went on about my day, you feel me? But I just noticed, you know, he just became real distant from me. We still hung out and shit, and it was just like weird. The energy was weird and stuff. But I chalk it up to him just feeling some type of way about his brother, because him and his brother was close in age, and his brother was going through some legal stuff. He was telling me about, you know, his brother, you know, it was a warrant out for his arrest and for stealing or something like that. So he just kept telling me how he was just so worried about his brother and what was going to happen with his brother, and he, you know, his brother being scared to be out because he had a warrant out and all this stuff. So I kind of just chalked up his shift of his attitude toward I kind of chalked it up just he's going through something with his brother. So that's why he is feeling some type of way, you know, or treating me different because he's stressed about his brother, you know. And so I'm like, and it just kept going on, you know, like he wasn't answering, he wasn't, you know, he would come around, but his conversation wasn't as you know how it usually be, you know. Sometimes he didn't hold my hand, you know, and I'm just like, okay, well, maybe he just going through something, you know. So now maybe a couple weeks, you know, go by of this shit going on, you know, and I'm just constantly like, okay, you know, hey, he going through some stuff, you know. So eventually my cousin come back over to my house, you know, and so me and her, we hanging out and shit, and it's like nothing different between us. We kicking it, you know. And I don't know what happened with my phone. I don't know if my phone died or what the situation was. I can't remember, but for some reason it was something going on with my phone. And so I needed to make a phone call to one of my friends, you know, and I was like, hey, let me use your phone. I'm telling my cousin, like, let me use your phone, you know, and she was very hesitant to hand me her phone. So that was automatically a red flag, because I'm like, any other time, you know, me and her know each other codes to each other's phone. Like we quick to pick up each other's phone and just, you know, use each other's phone or whatever. Like that's how tight we was. We shared our codes with each other. So when I asked her like, hey bitch, let me use your phone real quick to call my friend, you know, and she was like real hesitant to give me her phone, and I snatched it from her. I'm like, damn, what's your problem? Like, what you don't want to let me use your phone? Like, what's going on? And she's like, no, you can use my phone, it's okay, you know. So I'm calling my friend, and I done called them like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, why the fuck is she not picking up the phone? She know that we got plans. You know, why she ain't picking up the phone? And then I said, oh, I'm calling from a number that this girl don't recognize. You know, I'm calling off my cousin's phone. She don't recognize, you know, this number. And she doing like how I do when I don't recognize the damn number. I ignore that shit, okay? If you calling me and I don't recognize this number, I'm not going to answer the phone. I owe too many people money. I owe too many people money on. So I'm not gonna answer the phone. You better leave me a voicemail. You better text me and let me know who you are. Because I ain't about to answer the phone for a number that I don't know. So that's why I'm saying, I'm like, oh shoot, she probably not answering because she don't recognize this number. So I go to my cousin's text messages to text my friend like, hey, this is Kiki, answer the phone. And when I go through the text messages, go to the text message, the first message that I see is from Adam. And that was the name of the boy that I was talking to. And I'm like, Adam? Why she got somebody on her phone named Adam? But I said, you know, Adam a common name, so I can't be tripping about it. But I said, that's weird. And this is the first text message in her list. So that means they was recently texting, you know? So I go to the damn message thread and I look at the message thread, and in the message thread, oh shit, that's a bee. Oh Lord, get your punk ass up out of here. I'm scared of bees. Get your bitch ass out of here, nigga. The hell? Come on now. Close this shit up. Fuck. But so I go through the text messages. Oh, what the fuck? So I go through the damn text messages and stuff. And in the text message, you know, thread, they talking about, oh, it was just such a lovely kiss. And they talking about like they kissed and how they met up. And, you know, she's saying, this nigga really trying to get up in here. So, you know, they're talking, you know, I'm in the text thread, they talking about how they kissed each other, and she's saying how handsome he is, and he's telling her how good she looks and all of this shit. And I'm just looking at the message, and I'm like, let me check and see what the number is. Bitch, why the number is from Adam that I'm dating? And I was like, what the fuck? I was just so crushed. I'm like, wait a minute, they in here talking about they met up with each other, they kissed each other, how great the kiss was, and all of this stuff. I mean, I was crushed. So when I totally forgot about texting my friend, I just came up to her and threw her phone at her, and I'm like, so you and Adam been talking and y'all done set up and kissed and all of this stuff? And she was like, what you mean by that? What you talking about? What? I said, I'm looking at y'all messages. It says clearly that y'all have met up with each other and y'all kissed each other. I said, how could you do that to me? And I just started crying because I really liked Adam. I really liked him so much. You know, I was just so hurt. I was going off on her ass and the tears was rolling. And if you know one thing about cancers, we are sensitive, emotional motherfuckers. We cry over everything. Happy, sad, mad, but don't ever get it twisted, okay? That's just in us. I was in there going off on her ass, crying like, you know, I like this dude. Like, how could you do this to me? Going off on her ass. The whole time, this girl had been talking to him, and then she turned around and met up with him, and they end up kissing. And I'm saying to myself, I told her, I'm like, we had never kissed before. We've never kissed. You know, and I said, you know, this man is a lot older than me. I know that's what type of time he was on. You know, he wanted to be with somebody that moved faster. He wanted a fast girl. He didn't want nobody like me that was trying to take it one day at a time and shit, didn't want to do nothing extra. You feel me? He wanted that. He wanted somebody that was willing to kiss and do all that extra shit. But that's not what I was on. And I thought that he had respect for me, you know, and cared about me, you know. But when I seen those text messages, I was so damn hurt, and I went off on her, and she just couldn't say anything. So I'm sitting up here like, I'm about to call this nigga. So I pick up my phone, try to call him. He don't answer. I just kept calling him, blowing him up, blowing him up, blowing him up. He didn't answer the phone, right? So as I'm calling him, her phone is still laying on the bed. And then I look over, her phone light up. I look over, he has texted her, and he's like, what's up? What's going on? This whole time I'm texting, calling him. He didn't even answer my call. But he texted her like, what's up? What's going on? Bitch, why I pick up that phone and then I called him on her phone and I cussed his ass the fuck out. Cuss him the fuck out and continue to cuss her ass out too. I got off, I hung that phone up on that nigga, and from that point forward, I didn't even see his ass downtown no more. Didn't see him, didn't never talk to him again, and my ass was sitting up here so hurt by that. So damn hurt. After that, I ain't even kick it with my cousin no more. I cut shit off with her. For years and years and years, we did not talk to each other after that incident happened. But, later on, we started talking to each other because, that's my mom's sister. So that's my mom's sister. They be around each other. Of course, we're going to have to cross paths with each other, But I always just kept, my distance from her, after that. Kept it really short with her. But I'm like, damn, that girl was talking to that man the whole time. You feel me? The whole motherfucking time. All while we was still dating and shit. They was talking to each other, hooking up with each other and shit. And I'm like, that's the type of shit he wanted anyway. He wanted somebody that was ready to go. And I just wasn't that type of female, I wanted to be courted. I didn't want to just kiss you and me and you didn't, we ain't even, been talking to each other no more than probably like two or 3 months. You feel me? And we still hadn't kissed. And I felt like he wasn't really trying to force it. So I didn't force it. I'm like, we just going to take our time with this. But in reality, that's what he wanted. He wanted somebody that was willing to go. And, he was he was older than me too. So, men have their needs, they wants, as well as women, but I just wasn't on that type of time. But he knew that, and he went to where it was easier. You feel me? But that was just crazy how that shit happened. Crazy ass situation, I'm like, damn, you my cousin. The whole time I'm sitting up here telling you about this nigga and how much I like him and shit. You gonna sit up here and start talking to him. And then he end up going for it, knowing the whole time this is my cousin. And I'm like, man, but at the end of the day, that wasn't my nigga. If you could easily be swayed like that and be easy to fuck with other women and shit, you wasn't my nigga to begin with, okay? You wasn't my nigga to begin with. But yeah, that's the end of that story time though. But it's just crazy how that shit happened, straight up. I'm like, I should have knew something was up when she was hesitant to give me her phone, But I ain't even really think too much of it. It just so happened I went to her text messages. If I wouldn't have went to her text messages, I probably wouldn't even found out about it, And I'm like, okay, so this is the reason why you became distant and you wasn't showing up because you was over there spending time with her, Man, I was so hurt by that. So hurt. I cried and cried and cried straight up. But, that's the end of this damn story time, though. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And, if a motherfucker if a motherfucker that never had a problem with you using their phone, all of a sudden start having problems, all of a sudden want to be all hesitant to let you use their phone, that's a red flag right there. You feel me? If it's always been okay to use your phone and be able to, pick up your phone and unlock it and it ain't never been no problem, then all of a sudden it start to be a problem, then you should know right then and there that's a red flag. Okay? Straight up. But yeah, that's the end of this story time. I feel like I was winded with it. I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to say, what I said, what I was trying to say, you know. But yeah, you guys to be careful, because, you know, your family will try you. Your family will try you. And we already know what strangers will do. Okay? Straight up. And another lesson that I learned too from this situation is don't be quick to try to tell people what your man do for you, because that ain't all that's gonna do is make a bitch interested. If you sitting up here talking about how good your man is and how he treats you and whatever, all that do is get these bitches antennas going, and they be trying to sniff around and see if they can get them a piece. Okay? So don't be too quick to be trying to brag about your man and what he do and how well he treats you. You got to be around a certain group of females, you know, to be doing that. Okay? You got to be around a certain group of females to be able to do that. Be careful who you brag to about your man. For real. Because some bitches be ready to. Okay? Straight up. But yeah, I'm going to let y'all go. I got another story time I'm going to probably tell too. So I'm going to let y'all go, okay? Peace out.